All right, folks, and welcome to the live stream. This is another fun live stream that I thought let's go ahead and do this. This is more about learning Next.js on the go. So I first initially thought that, hey, we're going to make videos about it. Then I realized why to make videos. Let's go ahead and learn it into the live environment so that we can also have some interaction, some fun with people and whatnot. So basically, uh, I don't have an intention that, hey, 1,000 people should watch it or something. I'm just learning Next.js and I don't know Next.js that much. So I'm learning it on the go. I do have a few prior experience with Next.js, but not that much. So we're going to together build some application, build some demo projects. We'll read the documentation together and we'll just work out like that. So in case you are interested in learning more about Next.js, this is exactly the live stream for you. You can watch it later on as well. And this will be fun. Let's learn together. This is not a stream where actually you go ahead and enjoy, have some music or something. So yeah. Okay. Nice. Naveen is also here. Nice. By the way, a big congratulations to Naveen for hitting 2 million subs. That is a way too big number. Way too big number, man. I guess the party is due on you whenever I'm in Bengaluru. So again, in the comment section, all please forward the congratulations to Naveen as well. And let's go ahead and figure out Next.js. How does the Next.js goes out? Okay, so we're going to be learning about Next.js and we'll be taking your questions as well in between. But the first focus is actually on learning the Next.js. So I'll be keeping the questions as secondary part of it. So that's what we'll be doing. All right. Okay, so I do have some options here to move on here. Let's go ahead and get started with the Next.js. And yes, I'll be answering all of your questions. If you have any, just feel free to throw them around. If they are meaningful, I'll take them. Something like, should I learn React before Next.js? You can learn a lot of concept of React on the go in the Next.js as well, but I would recommend that you need to have at least some basics of it. Iced is ready. For iced I can just travel to another continent itself. All right. So let's just go ahead and start with the Next.js. Those who don't know Next.js, let's go ahead and figure out what Next.js is. So let me just go ahead and move on to this part. So here we are. This is Next.js. So the fun thing is, once you learn let me just go ahead and say React Dev. Not this one, React Dev. So the fun part about it is that once you learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and have built enough of a project with JavaScript, you obviously want to choose some library or some framework. And one of the popular framework that you're going to see on the internet is that React. Who else? You'll hear the words about React, Vue, Angular, these kinds of things. And after watching a few YouTube videos, you'll come to a conclusion that yes, React is the way that I want to go. You start learning the React with the docs. And in the installation section itself, let's see how to start a new React project. You'll realize that, hey, the production grade React framework is Next.js. So they in fact recommend that, hey, you go ahead and learn Next.js. This is how they actually go for it. So let's see if they are saying that, hey, you need to learn Next.js like this. If I go back, this is a regular people's view. And as soon as you move on to docs, this is dark mode. So this is this is the mode that we have. All right. So let's see the installation part. Okay. You need Node.js. All right. So we'll have the Node.js, Mac OS, Windows. Yeah, everything is supported. And if I go ahead and scroll, I found this really funny here. I'll share it with you. React Essentials. So if you go on to React Essential, they also say that, hey, you need to have React Basics with you. So, so really nice. React Essentials. To build the web application with Next.js, it helps to be familiar. So the thing is that in order to learn Next.js, you need to have some basics of React. And if you go to React, they say, hey, go learn Next.js and whole lot of things. All right. So this is fun. Okay. So there are some React tutorials and stuff. So let me just clear this confusion. If you want to really learn Next.js, you need to know a little bit basics of React. It's not too much heavy required these days. You don't need to do too much of the suspense and all of that. You can learn them on the go in the Next.js itself. But basics like how the state management is done, how the DOM is manipulated, what is a virtual DOM, and some basics like that, how the hooks are implemented, how the re-rendering of the application happens. So these kinds of things are very basics, and one needs to have that. Anyways, let's have some fun. So let's go ahead and move on to the installation part. So this is our installation part. And this is how we can have a next application. So let's go ahead and copy this. We need terminal. We need terminal. Without terminal, we don't go anywhere. All right. So let's go ahead onto desktop, and we'll create a new directory here. Let's call this as Nextjs live. We're actually teaching mostly things live in this live. So we'll be creating a couple of projects like this as a learning journey, and then we'll be adding it. I think that's folder structure is great. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start with this. And let's go into Next.js live. And then we can actually copy and paste this. So if I go ahead and copy this, I can go ahead and paste it directly, just like this, or I can name it something. I would prefer to name it. So I'll just call it as project 1. Project 1. That is a good name, decent name. Let's go ahead and have this. Do you would like to use TypeScript? Of course. Linting? Yeah, let's just give a linting. Tailwind, of course, 100% I want to go with Tailwind CSS. Would you like source directory? No, I don't want source directory. I want to work with the app directory, the newer thing. And that is the reason why most of the tutorial that you see on the Next.js are completely gone. There is no point of learning from those Next.js tutorial. It's completely outdated. Simply because they use another directory structure. It's a framework where directory structure matters a lot. So we're going to be using the latest one. We won't be using the source directory. So let's go up here. Use app router. Yes, of course. The inbuilt router. I don't want to configure my own router. Probably in some live session, we'll see that how we can configure our own router if we don't implement their file-based router. We'll see somewhere. And would you like to customize the default import alias? No, the default import alias is via the @. I'll show you that. So this is actually really nice, and we'll just go with that. So now it's installing the stuff. A lot of installation is there. That's nice. By the time it does the install, I'll just pick up some of the questions as well, and then we'll go back onto the streaming. Okay. Okay, so please use Tailwind with it. Yes, of course, we're going to go with Tailwind. Of course, we'll be going with that. I just want to know, is it a bad thing to learn React now? No, it's a good thing, actually. The thing is, now even things are faster. You need to learn React faster now. You cannot spend like 6 months to just learn React now. Things are just going like really, really fast now. So yeah, you really need to go with that. Okay. What is the future of cloud and DevOps? These kinds of questions we usually take on Saturday Live. This is a live which is dedicated just for the Next.js. So we'll be taking just the Next.js related questions and all of that. All right, so here we are. Let's go ahead and open our code editor. Can we use the Z into this one? Probably not. Not today. Let's fire up our VS Code. There we go. And actually, I opened a VS Code. Don't want to open it like this. I want to open it into project 1. So project 1, and then we're going to go ahead and fire up the code. And there we go. So we have this. We can just close the terminal. We'll use the inbuilt terminal whenever we need this. All right. So this is what we have. All right. A lot of big stuff. Okay. The first step, which I always recommend, is always to understand the directory structure. This is the latest what we have. Let's see. Always jump into package.json. This is the first thing that you should always do. If you're building React project, Vite project, or anything like that, we really need to jump into this one. So we have a couple of scripts ready, like dev script. Of course, the dev server, the build script for production, and the start is also for production. We'll be deploying some of them on Vercel or something, and we'll be using them. So these are the things which you probably don't need. This is the only one that we need. And apart from this, we have some dependencies here. So these are the basic dependencies, TypeScripts and stuff, lintings and all of that configuration. This is the important part, that we are actually on the latest version of Next, which is 13.4.2. Anything beyond 13.4 is good enough, And we can also work with Tailwind, and this is important for us, Tailwind and TypeScript. So this part is all done. We have analyzed the file. This is always what I usually do whenever I'm learning the new stuff. Jump into this one. And let's move in. So a couple of files are there, and as you can see from here to here, this is all just the configuration files. And all right, so I have a question. Sure, go ahead, fire up your question. If it is related to what we are learning here, Nextjs, then surely we can take it. Otherwise, Saturday Live is for that. All right. So moving on, these are TypeScript configuration. Don't want to change that. You probably don't want to touch them either. These are some like including of definitions and whatnot. Don't want to touch them. Tailwind config, we definitely can manipulate that if we need it, but I don't think so we'll need it. We'll be needing it. We'll mostly go with the basics of Tailwind, the core Tailwind itself. README, if you want to read it, that's great. This is how it looks like. Probably won't need it. This is basic README. And then we're going to be going into post CSS config. No, we don't want to touch it either. Package.json. I do have a video on the channel about discussing in depth about package.json. Then we have next config. And again, this is a Nextjs configuration. This is actually the config file which tells your Nextjs application that, hey, how to load up the things. Like if you load environment variables, you need to prefix it with the next keyword. So this is what we have. This is all done here. Again, this file says this file should not be edited. Obviously, these are definition files. So all your Nextjs definitions in the TypeScript actually comes from here. Git ignore, we obviously know it. Don't need to work on it. And linting configuration, I'm not worried about linting at all. If you don't know what is linting, you can just post a comment, not the chat, in the comment section that, hey, these are the things we need a dedicated video on that, and that will be very helpful for me. If something you are not able to understand, like you don't understand what is linting, you don't understand what is definition, configs, just let me know in the comments. I'll try to have this one. And then we have a public directory here. This is the directory where all of your photos and static asset needs to go. Probably if you have a font or something, just make sure it goes up there. And node modules, we don't touch this. This is heavier than the gravity. And then we have app directory. So you can see we have a favicon here, a global CSS, a layout, and a page. We'll be studying this quite in depth, and we'll understand how this layout-based routing and all these structure works on. First and foremost, we need to fire this up. So let's go ahead and say that, let's go ahead. The first command that we saw right in the package.json is we can run npm run dev. So let's go ahead and say npm run dev. And what happens? How does it happen? All right, so it's supposed to open up on localhost 3000. Let's see. Let's open this up. Is it properly working? Yeah, we can see that. So Nextjs is working nicely. At least we are able to launch the app and all of this. Looking good, looking good. Now it's time to actually manipulate. Now, let's go on to the docs as well. We'll study directly from the docs itself, not from the React docs, but actually Nextjs doc. So here's the project structure that they give you. So just right now, what I told you is actually written all up here. So Nextjs config, configuration file, Nextjs request middleware. So some of the environment variables. So all these files you can create. Some of the files like configuration files for TypeScript, configuration file for JSON, linting, all this is mentioned here. And this is a little bit outdated. We don't have pages folder now, so please ignore this part. I'll walk you through with that. Let's understand a little bit. First of all, let's see installation. We have done this part. All this is done. All done, all done, all done. Okay, so we'll be working on the routing majorly, that how we can define the routes and all of that. First, I want to show you that how the basics are done in the Nextjs. All right, so the most important thing, let's understand the structure. We'll ignore the favicon. We don't need to worry much about it. This is the basics of it, so we can totally ignore this. Now, interestingly, everything is actually in the page.tsx. So this is where all the React stuff, what you see up here, for example, this Nextjs logo, this by Vercel, page, docs, everything comes from here. You can see some of the keywords here as well. For example, it will be somewhere here. I can just minimize this. Find in-depth information about Nextjs features and API. So find in-depth information about Nextjs and API. This is here. We have this docs. and we have Nextjs logo. So everything is coming up from here. Now, the best way to actually learn some stuff here is to minimize this main, and let's go ahead and just remove everything from here. Now we're going to start our fragment, and just inside the fragment, let's write a simple h1 and say, hi from YouTube Live. All right. Let's see. All right. Hi from YouTube Live. Okay. Okay-ish. But we can actually just surround it with the main as well. Let's go ahead and surround it with the main and then write it. And the advantage is we do have Tailwind CSS. So we can make it as at least text dash center, and we'll get some margin from top of 20 maybe, so that we can at least see what is happening in the center. All right, this one needs to be bigger as well. So we'll just go with the class name and we'll say text dash, and suggest me what we're going to do is text LG for larger text. No, it's not large enough. We're going to say text XL, 3XL. Yeah, that's good enough. So, all right, we are able to see at least hi from the YouTube as well. This is the first step that we always go and work on with. All right, so this is the pages page.txt. So what happens in the Next.js is it's really simple that how it works. So try to understand what is the default situation of how it works. In the Next.js, everything is file based. So the file you create, the naming of those files, the folder that you make, what name you give to the folder, it is very important that you understand that part. This is how it's going to work. So make sure you understand that part. And in case you forgot to hit the like onto this live stream, go ahead and do this. That would be fun. So make sure you understand that part. Okay. And there is a question here, nice. Where to learn Next.js from since old tutorials are outdated? You are sitting, sitting on a well and asking where to drink water. This is. All right, so, okay, so this is good. Okay, so now let's go back on to the code part and see and understand that how this is all going on. Okay, so this part is all clear. The page is really important name here, and we'll just come back and we'll understand this in a minute. But there is also one more file here, which is layout. And what do you mean by this layout? Why is it here? Now, if you notice very carefully here, there is a metadata coming up here, which says create next app. So this is a metadata, that information that is coming up. It is also importing the global CSS. We'll talk about it. And there is a font that they're bringing in. And then there is a metadata, which is coming up from Next.js. And there is also this inside the layout. This is actually a root layout, which actually accept prop as a children. And then this guy actually returns an HTML element. Inside the HTML, we are returning a body in which we have applied this class of the font, which we are bringing in from the Google font. So that's nice that you can bring any font just directly by saying the name of the font. And then whatever the children's are there, it is there. So if you have any programming experience, and it's really nice to have the layout. So what layout does is layout is actually really nice. How to explain this? So sometimes you might have seen in the applications, you have the navigation bar and the footer, and only the middle portion of your web page changes out. So it's better to actually have a layout file in which the top and the bottom layout remain same, and you can change the internals of this. So similar kind of a thing is going on in here, that where whatever the children's are being passed on, we actually render them, and rest of the content like this obviously will be injected in the head portion that always remains same. So this is really nice, and that's why the layout files are being used. All right, so we understand a lot about the layouts and a whole lot of things. And now I think we can simply go ahead and work on with this. All right, so basics are done, I guess. And let's go back up here. All right, so we have this hi from all of this. Now let's understand a little bit more. And let's go back. So one of the things that you'll be learning about this is how to create a new folder, and that folder will be very useful. So right click, create a new folder, and we're going to be creating an about. Feel free to name it anything. But whatever you name it, call it about, service, whatever you are going to. And let's go with that. And inside the about, make sure you create a file with the name of page. It is very important you call it as page.tsx. If you name it anything else, it's not going to work. Nextjs is very restrictive about what do you name your files. So we're going to just work on with this. And let's say RFC, React functional component. We don't need this React, so we can just go for it. And you might notice here we call it as page because the file name is page, but actually we should be calling it as about, because when you go on to about route, this is the page which renders the output on the web page. So we can just say you are on about page. And that's it. That's it. You have created a new route. So if I go back up here and move on to /about, and there we go. You are on about page. So that's how you create the next page. And yes, there is a very interesting question which says, are you going to complete full Next.js course? These days, the thing is very interesting that people really want to have a more shout out, louder announcement than actually the content itself. So I think when somebody is teaching on the YouTube and something, rather focus on the teaching part and less on the announcement part. These days, I know announcement is very important. You need to go very loud with the announcement and just all of this. So yeah, I understand you. But whatever and how much we can complete, you'll see that. The time will only tell. No promises in advance. All right, so let's go back. So this is what we are, and we have seen that how we can create a new page. And let's go ahead and have a page like this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change how the page actually looks like and how this is being done. Let's go back onto the code editor. And let's go back. Where is my code editor? There we go. All right. So instead of this, let's go ahead and cut this out. We're going to just have a simple div with the class name of text-center. All right. And we'll also get some margin from the top. Margin tab 10. All right. And now we can have a simple paragraph that says about page. And that's it. Let's see how does it look like. All right, about page, not bad. And if I go back here onto this part, what we're going to do is let's add a link so that we can move on to the back page pretty easily. The way how you go with the links, at least in Next.js, is you don't use a tag. And a lot of people don't know, this is usually a lot of time being asked in interviews, that why can't we use a tags and have to import the links or something in Next.js or a similar such framework. The reason is when you use a tag or anchor tag, it will definitely take you onto the place where you want, but it will actually do a full re-render of the page, which is usually what we avoid in Next.js or in React Basic Foundation. So we can go ahead and say, hey, I want a link from next link. And now I can just come up here and can say, hey, I want to have a link just like this. And this link is going to go ahead and say return to home, just like this, very basic. And this needs an href. So now let's go with the href. We don't have any variables to give it here. We'll just directly go with the slash, just like this. And probably now we should have a link to go back. All right, so let's see. Okay, return to home. There we go. Hi from, this is our home page. But the problem is now at the home page, we don't have anything to go on to the about page. So let's inject, use the home page and inject some stuff here as well. Okay, so this is hi from live, and let's go ahead and inject a link. Again, same thing. We don't need this image here, so we're not playing around with this. Probably later on. Right now, let's just go ahead and say, hey, we want to import a link just like this. And then we can just go up here inside the main. We'll just indent this a little. And let's just go ahead and say I want a link just like this. And in the link, go to about page. How about that? How about that? Okay. And href, of course. And we'll say that, hey, I want to go to about. Nice. Let's keep it this much. We can definitely make it more beautiful. But at least let's just keep it there. All right, so let's just save this. Let's go back. Okay, go to about page, home page. So at least we are, why is it that? Sometimes it doesn't render. We'll fix up these things as well. This is really nice. So you can see, at least we have learned the routings of how the routing is done and the basics of it. Now let's just explore a little bit more. If you go on to the Next.js, this is what we have studied, defining the routing of how we can define the routing. This is what we studied just right now. So before going to this live, I was just exploring the documentation and I thought, let's just go live and try to understand. So this is what we have learned. Now there is a concept about pages and layout. So this is very interesting concept in the documentation. And I'll just show you that how this actually works. There is so much of interesting thing about the layout that you can actually go ahead and use this. We'll definitely need some help from the documentation or the pre-written code, and I'll walk you through what is this root layout. And there's a nice article here, root layout required. We'll study this together as well, and we'll explore some of the docs as well. All right, so let's go back. Now here's the interesting concept. If I just minimize the about here, let me just zoom this. So if I go ahead and minimize the about, notice here there is a page, there is a layout. So similar kind of a structure we can actually follow in the directory as well. So this layout is a complete website level layout, the root level layout. And we can do similar thing with the about as well. Right click and create a new file, and let's just call this one as layout.tsx. Now this layout is not entirely on the level of website. This is only on the level of about or any further page that you create under the about. So this is it. This is it. Okay, so let's have some fun with this one as well. And let's go ahead and work with this. In order to work with this, we can just go ahead and say RFC for React functional component. We don't need this. But if you want to make any component as a layout, you cannot just directly go and say layout like this. If you go into the docs, they also mention this very clearly that you cannot just make it directly like that. Layout has a proper structure in which you need this dashboard layout like this, and you need to pass on this children will be a page or nested layout, include the UI. So this kind of a React node, children, this kind of a syntax is really, really important. And I found a cool way of actually using this. So since in the layout.js also you are using the same thing, so what you can do is you can actually, because this layout also should have the exact name of root layout, so you cannot actually change this. So you can just copy from the function till the return keyword, copy this, go back onto the layout which is inside the about, and we copy it from function to the return and can paste it. And that's it. That's it. It is one of the coolest way. I'll share it again. Inside this layout, you can actually copy from function to the return keyword. And this is the most important part that is required to have the layout. And then you can just copy, go into your own layout, wherever the directory structure is, which is about or something like this. And we can just go ahead and paste it till here. All right, this is pretty cool. Now, what is the advantage of having this kind of a layout? I'll show you what is the advantage of this. So for example, first and foremost, in this, what you need to do is pass on some children as well. Otherwise, it will not work. So let's just say we remove this div, and instead of this div, we're going to just inject a fragment. And inside this fragment, let's go ahead and have a main, which will have some classes later on, not right now. We'll just go ahead and inject children's. So all the children that were passed on to me, we'll just pass it on just like this. And let's just go ahead and say that just above this main, I'll just write a test. All right, let's save this. Now, if I go back, what you'll notice is when I go back onto the about page, we see this test. So this test will be throughout any page or directory structure that you create inside the about folder. All of them will get it. So this is really nice. Let's go ahead and have a more exploration. Like, what does it really mean to have a layout? All right. So what do I mean by having a layout like this is you can provide, let's just say the navigation bar example. So let's go on to dev UI and grab a component of navbar. Where is navbar? Here is the navbar. Let's just say we choose this one navbar. So I'll just click on the code and we'll just grab all the code and copy this. Should I copy this one or React one? React is better, but it has some options. Uh, don't want to do this. I'll do it manually. All right, so here what I can do is I'm inside right now, not in the about layout, but into the main layout. And inside this body, so notice here we are inside the children. Just about all the children that you pass, I want to paste my navigation bar here. So I can go ahead and do this. Obviously, we have some problems with the classes, so we'll just fix it up here. All right, let's minimize this. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, class, let's press Command D or Control D to have multi-cursors. And we'll have a couple more. Multi-cursor, Command D or Control D is your shortcut. And then we can just go ahead and say class name, just like this, and everybody should be happy. Let's go back. So what we have done is, in the layout itself, we have injected a navigation bar. And the advantage of this is now no matter on what page I go, I should be able to see my nav bar. So whether I am on home page or about page, my navigation bar is always there. And that's the advantage of our layout. So this is. Now again, remember one thing, a lot of people confuse it out. The layout part is super, super important because this is a total like project level or the site level layout. But notice here this about is actually test is not project level, entire level. Let's go ahead and add some more components onto this one. So let's just say avatar components. Of course, let's inject his photo. Let's just say we actually add an image component. Probably we shouldn't be loading image like this, but anyways, we are having fun. Inside this layout, just in the main itself, we'll say that, hey, probably instead of the test, we'll just grab this image. Of course, we need to give it a class name. Save this, go back, and we see dance photo, but it's not on home page because this is not inside the about folder. But we can go up here, and again, this is not refreshing yet. So anyways, go back. So you can see this is here, this is here. So pretty nice and interesting things about layouts, and things are really, really nice in here. Okay, now I want to share something more about the styling part as well, because if you go back here, now they actually talks about linking, navigating, and there is error routing, loading UI. We'll talk all about this. A lot we need to talk. Okay, so coming back on, there is another file that you can create, which is again, the name of the file is important. So inside the about, you can go ahead and say styles.module.css. So maybe you want to inject CSS. And again, the beauty about this, the folder structure is, anything that you create inside the folder has an impact in the folders itself, the files which are inside the folder itself. So for example, if I go ahead and say, hey, I want to have a main class just like this, and inside the main, I want to have some things like, let's just grab a minimum height, and we'll get 100% viewport height. And we'll also say, what else? We'll just grab a background color. Let's go with a grayish color. No, not grayish. We'll go with a greenish. We'll go with greenish, a little darker. Yeah, this is good. Now notice here, this doesn't impact any of my code as of now. I can go onto any page, it doesn't impact it. But if I go back onto page, I can actually include this. This is styling, and this can work out for me. So let's just say that I want to inject, let's inject this directly into the layout itself, because everything is actually getting in the layout. So remember the layout of the about, not everywhere. So let's just say, let's import it first, because import is obviously important. So we're going to say import, we're going to say we want to import style. From where you want to import it? I want to import it from style module. Okay, once I have this, then I can go into the main and I can say that, hey, I want to import a style. I can just inject it by saying style.main. If I save this, go back, notice here, this is all greenish. Nice green, by the way. But if I go back onto the home page, this is where it's not impacting anything. Because again, this actually proves the point that it only works within the folder structure, not outside. And by the way, this is not refreshing. Come on, there we go. Home, about, home, about. Let's go ahead. This is nice color. Let's go ahead and try to create same styling for this. So somebody wants to create this, because if you inject anything into the global, this will be everywhere. We don't want that. Let's just say you want to do same things for the page as well, for the site wide as well. You can go ahead and do this. So we'll just right click on to the app this time and create a new file. And this time we'll be saying it again, same. We can call this one as page.module.css. This file used to come by default as a pre-made in the template itself. I don't know why they don't give it now anymore. Let's just go ahead and copy this and paste it. We'll change the color only. We'll go into the greenish, bluish shade. A little lighter, just like that. All right, so just like we have injected this style module into the about layout, we can actually do the same thing. We can inject this module, this blue color, into the layout itself, and we can just inject it inside the div itself or in the entire body, wherever you like. Totally up to you. I'll just go ahead and we can actually inject it in the page itself. Let's inject this time into the page, not at the entire layout. Let's go into the main and we'll say that, hey, instead of this, now we are actually using a different style. So let's just go ahead and remove it. And oh, we need to import this first. Import style. Make sure you don't auto import it, otherwise it will import the styling. This is not what we want, so make sure you don't do this. So style from, and we'll be importing in from page module CSS. And now I can come here and can say I want to inject style dot main. Notice the name of the styling is exactly same, but what we are having is if I go back on home, now it's blue. So blue here, green here. Yeah, so this is nice. So this is really a nice work of what we have done. All right, pretty good stuff, pretty good. Not bad, not bad. All right, so I hope you are, those who are watching later on as well, are able to understand that how the file structuring, layouts and all these things works. This is one of the most important thing into this entire thing. Okay, now let me tell you one more interesting thing, which is also in the docs as well. So if you go into the docs of Next.js, we don't need React docs, is one of the things that you'll be noticing is this loading UI and streaming. So what they do is, actually they talk a lot about this loading.tsx. So obviously there's a concept in the React known as suspense, in which until the module is properly loaded, a suspense element, you can inject this and it works out. So in case you don't know suspense, there are some nice articles about it. If you want, I can make a video dedicated about the suspense. So this is one of the very good practices in React, and the way how it works is insanely easy. So notice here, the moment you create a new layout which says loading.tsx, it automatically creates that. In the same folder, loading.js will be nested inside layout.js. It will automatically wrap the page.js and any children below the suspense boundary. So this is nice. This is absolutely nice. You don't need to do this suspense and all of this thing. React actually does all the things for you in that. So nice. All right. Let's see how we can do this. This is actually super easy. Let me go ahead and open VS Code. So all you have to do is, let's just say we want to inject here. So about new file, and this will be loading.tsx and RFC. And instead of the div, we'll just go for an h1. And we'll be saying ... loading. Now watch it carefully because you won't be able to see it much. Once you have this, you don't have to do anything at all. The moment this file is there, whatever is your loader is here, that's it. You don't have to do any single thing after that. If I go back here, return to home and go back about page, if I do it a couple of times, you'll briefly see it. It's difficult. Let's try to throttle it down. Let's try to throttle it down. And let's go with a slow. Still, it's cached into this one. So probably we need to hit a reload. This is slow 3G. Slow 3G. We are simulating a slow 3G to just see the slow. Fast 3G, can we see in this one? Still not able to see this. I'll probably need to throw some error or something like this. No throttling, getting back onto this. Very fast. This is ridiculously fast. But it is happening. It is happening. It's written in the docs as well. I'm not making this up. This is actually mentioned in the docs that all you have to do is make this. So this is next level of the work with the Nextjs. I don't have to do anything at all. It just works out of the box. Now, there is one more thing interesting here is if you notice here onto the docs that this loading is actually based a lot on this error handling as well. So this is also nice that when you create an error.js file, this automatically wraps a route segment and its nested children in the React error boundary. So create error UI tailored to specific segment or something like this. So what basically this is saying, if you actually use this piece of code and make sure this needs to be use client, and by the way, in the Nextjs 13 version, everything by default is a server component. If you want to make anything as a client component, you need to actually use this client. So this is how error.js work. Automatically, whatever is your error boundary, it wraps up that component inside it. And that's it. It just works and allows you to reset all these things. This is next level work. Let's go ahead and try this out. Let's go ahead and copy this. There's a button. How bad. I can copy this from here. Okay, so let's go back onto this. And now what we can do is right click, new file, and error.tsx. Of course, we'll not use JSX. It needs to be exactly error. The file naming is super, super important. Paste it, and this is what we have. Use client, everything is good, and that's all we have to do. And what we'll do is additionally, we'll try to make this button a tiny bit good. So let's just go ahead and say class name, and we'll just say bg-black, and we'll just get a padding on all side of 3 and padding on x-axis of 5. So at least this looks like a button, otherwise it doesn't look like a button. Okay, the problem is if I go back onto the code part, this doesn't work. This doesn't do anything because we don't have any error. So let's go ahead and inject some error. Yeah, why not? How we can throw an error on the page before it returns anything. Let's throw an error. So we're going to go ahead and say throw new error. Oops, not like this. Throw new error just like this. So we can throw a new error. In case you like to throw this error in this format, you can just go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and pass on a string as well. Let's call this as test. Now it's not returning the component. Let's go back. And notice here the try again. So this is what we wrapped up. If in case you missed that out, let me show you again. So the error page, which we wrapped up automatically. So if anything goes wrong with the page, it automatically handles that case for us. And this is the exact try again. Next. Try again, Nextjs. Not that, Nextjs. All right. So if I go back up here, this is exactly the same, try again, Nextjs. And obviously, it always will be loading up error. But how good this is a developer experience if I go back. So if I go back onto the home page, that's where not the error. Error is not there. But if I go back onto the about page, obviously we are receiving an intentional error there. So this is really, really nice. I really like about this. There's another thing here to work on with. And that is, if you study the docs a little bit, there is a concept of, where is the concept of metadata? So let me just search that. Command K is the shortcut, and you can search for metadata, generate metadata. This is one. So notice here how they actually tell you that how you can generate the metadata. There are a couple of ways. The first one here is the metadata object. Yeah, here it is, the metadata object. And the second is the generator function. Based on whatever the params ID and all these things that you're receiving, you can actually work with that. What we're going to do is we'll be using just this one because that's the most basic one that we have. And I think that's the one will be going for. So absolute basics, there is nothing too much. And by the way, in case you might have noticed this already, very hard to notice actually. And if I go back onto the page in the layout, yeah. So this is exactly what they have. You can actually have this kind of a metadata just like this. It would be little better if we use the TypeScript here. So maybe we can improve this boilerplate code as well. We can go ahead and say type. This is what I saw in the docs, metadata from the next. And then additionally, you can mark this that, hey, this is going to be of type metadata. That's it. Now, if I go back and save this, this says create next app. Let's first remove the error. Let's first remove the error and page.tsx, and we'll just comment out this line. Save this and refresh. There we go. So this one says create next app, and this one also says create next app. Let's go that I don't want this one. So what I'll do is I go back onto page, not page, layout. I'll bring in this piece of code. In fact, I'll bring all of this code, copy that, go into page.tsx, and let's use this piece of code. We don't want any int error like that, just like that. So this is what we have, and instead of create next app, let's go ahead and say YouTube, not like that, YouTube live stream generated by next. No, this was generated during the live stream. Live stream. So there we go. Save that. And save that. If I go back, now if I go back, it's already onto the about page, YouTube live stream. So I can go back next tab. So every page can have that. The one thing that we are not gonna be discussing today is how we can actually grab something from the URL, which actually you can grab directly here, and you can just say it out like this and can have params just like this. We won't be talking about this in this live stream. Probably another such live stream. If you have enough of request, I'll do another such live stream. But I think we have learned a lot speedily within just one live stream. We have learned about a lot of routes, defining the routes, page and layout, linking navigation. We haven't heard about dynamic routes. We'll do that. But at least we have covered the loading UI, error handling. This much we have actually covered, and plus the metadata. So this is pretty good of a progress, I would say. Yes, a lot of stuff we have studied. I'll definitely try to do more such live stream in case request comes around. And that's pretty much it we are going to be doing for this live stream. I know a lot of people don't watch these kinds of live stream where actually learn something. When you make videos like, hey, this is dead, Python is dead, JavaScript is dead, people love to watch that. Now I can just go ahead and take up your questions if you have any. Otherwise, I'll try to do another live stream in a couple of days where we'll continue the progress and we'll learn more stuff about Nextjs. As of now, there are no such big, good, great tutorials on Nextjs, so we'll just use the live stream. This Nextjs docs is not same for me. Is it so? It's just the basic docs that we have. So this is the exact same docs that I'm using. I went on to nextjs.org, just like this, on this website, and click on docs. Yeah, this is it. Feature app available. So feature available in pages, feature available in app. I'm using this one. Obviously, this is the latest one that I'll be using, so everything is just up here. All right, so if you have any questions now, I can just, the live stream is going crazy. Please do more such live stream. Awesome. I can do more such live stream shortly. If you wish, I can build a lot of more stuff in the live stream. Need a latest Flutter course. We've already started to work on Flutter. Probably we'll do some live streams on Flutter as well. Thank you so much. I'll surely do. We love these live streams. Please do bring such. Surely I'll bring them in the late nights and stuff. I'll probably do that. Please make a series on Next in Live. Yeah, we can actually continue this as a live series on Nextjs. So that would be really nice. React Native docs are not updating. Why? I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. So yeah. Is Tailwind is industry standard nowadays? Yeah, kind of everything is these days Tailwind. Everything is Tailwind. So where is coffee and the expensive water bottle? The expensive water bottle is just right there. I don't drink coffee much. What are your views on app router? It's much more easier now. Do you need to learn TypeScript before Next.js? Yeah, if you know it, that would be better. I do have a free playlist on the TypeScript on this channel as well. You can try this. Okay, why using TSX instead of JS in the file name? Because you didn't pay attention. When we were creating the project, we asked it that, hey, we want to use TypeScript, so that's why we are going with the TSX. Need more streams on data fetching, like how it works on without client-side stuff. Sure, I'll be doing definitely 100%. I'll be doing more of the streamings on this. There's a fun one here from Anirudh. What is Next.js? Come on, man. Stop pulling my leg. Being a developer, you don't drink coffee. Let me tell you a fact. Developers and coffee is associated mostly from the American side of it. Mostly in India, there are developers who drink actually tea. That is a fact. What about React Router v6? Who wants to use a React router when everything is given out of the box to you in Next.js? That is a big question. Okay, does Flutter dominate JavaScript in Flutter dominates JavaScript in web dev? Not really. Love the unboxing videos. Hey, thanks. Actually, there's a good thing about this. That unboxing video, somebody actually reached out to me that, hey, Fish, I can ship it to you. In my country, the Newfie keyboard is available. So yes, probably very soon I'll be getting my Newfie keyboard. Super excited about it. Need AppWrite and Flutter course. Yes, we are on the way. We'll be doing it very soon. Love the session. Thank you so much. All right. So Rohit says, I recently encountered a bug with responsiveness of Tailwind with Next App Router. I think that would be a good first pull request. Maybe you can solve it and just send it. Open source. Nice. All right. So I think that was a good, fun live stream about. Let me know in the comment section, not just in the chat, if you need a lot more live streams like this. I would love to do this in the late night sessions. So we can do this. Oh, Mr. Vargas is also here. How's the keycron so far? Okay, I'm still adjusting. This is actually too lengthy on the side. I'm used to on a low profile keyboard, so that's why I'm making a lot of typo mistake. I'll try it out because it's too early to say that it's good or bad. I've been just using for a few days only. So yeah. Can you save this live stream on the channel? It's already saved. It's already saved. If you can just switch on to the tab of live, you'll get that. +1 for AppWrite and Flutter. Yes, we're working on it. Our team is actually working on it. AppWrite is lit. Yes, it is. It is very lit. There are a lot of videos coming up very soon. Om Bharti says, please don't delete this stream. I probably will not. Probably will. So next time when there is any such kind of live stream, I'll probably make it members only. I'll make $1 million out of it. Then people will. No, I'll just keep it open. just kidding. Can I learn Next.js straight up without learning JS? No. And there is a lot of JavaScript I'm going to write, and you probably won't be understanding a single bit of it without JavaScript. Okay. There's a nice one here. New way to learn, not getting bored. That's good. That's good. We'll be streaming more. We'll try to stream more. SEO in Next.js, please make a video. This is what we learned just right now. You didn't understand that? The metadata part, that is your SEO. So, oh man. Okay. Can I host AppWrite for free? I guess yes. They have the cloud, so yeah, you can do this. Live sessions are great, bro. Yeah, I'll do that. Just let me know in the comment section more about it. All right, so that's all what we'll be doing for this live stream, and we'll probably host a couple of more live streams in this. If you request enough, I'll be doing a live stream about data fetching techniques and what more can be done in Next.js. Make it subscriber only. Yeah, that I can do. That I'll surely do. All right. So thank you so much for joining up in this live stream. If you found anything interesting, let me know in the comment section. And that's it. Chill out. Enjoy the day or night.